Welcome everybody to the Storytime channel. My name is Steven, and today we have some I Don't Work Here Lady stories. Our first story of the day is by High Skills. I don't work at the shop, I just hang around there. So a little backstory, I'm a nerdy 25-year-old who loves to modify keyboards. I've modified a few of my own keyboards and ended up getting some good results. I then hang out at a friend's place who owns a keyboard shop who commissions and repairs keyboards. They also allow mods for their keyboards if they bring their keyboards there. I'm good friends with the owner, and I usually hang out in his shop to learn how to build a keyboard from testing out on the PCB to soldering the switches. Story: so I was at the shop just hanging around there, and the employees and owner/manager offered to teach me how to solder switches, to which I'm bad at. And there I was, just finished with soldering around 10 switches. I'm pretty thin and weak, so I get tired easily. There I was, out to take a break from practicing on soldering the switches on the PCB, and there entered Karen. She had the haircut, the clothes, the nails, everything that a typical Karen would look like. And she had the attitude and walk to even confirm that she was definitely a Karen. Even though I don't work for the keyboard shop, she started snapping her fingers at me and started to call me and grab my attention like a dog. I don't really work for the shop, but I headed up to the Karen anyways and asked her for anything, since the owner/manager was actually at the bathroom taking a small break. "Can I help you, ma'am?" Karen brings out an old dirty mechanical keyboard. "I want you to fix this. Can you do it?" Now, I may look like an adult and might be interested in working in that shop, but I'm still a college student and I just didn't really work there, sadly, and I tried to explain to the Karen that I wasn't really an employee there. "I'm sorry, but I don't really work here." The Karen says, "I know you work here. I've seen you do stuff here every time I pass this shop." Now, I hang around the shop a lot, mostly because the keyboards are really well made and I was just a keyboard enthusiast. And looking at the keyboard she handed to me, it was a whole mess. It felt sticky, it had hairs between the switches and the plate, the switches are stuck when pressed, the keycap legends are faded, dirt and dust were piled under the keycaps, and everything else was a whole mess. To be quite honest, the keyboard looked like it's been used for key smashing purposes than typing or gaming. I wasn't really interested in fixing someone's keyboard, and I didn't know how to fix it, to be quite frank. I tried to explain to the Karen that I wasn't really an employee of the shop and I'll go ask someone to get the keyboard. But she wasn't having it. "If you don't fix this keyboard right this moment, I will have you fired. I know the owner here and I'll make sure that happens." "But ma'am, I really don't," as I was about to say I really don't work here, owner/manager arrived. He tried to ask what was happening and he was quite concerned at the situation escalating. "What seems to be the problem?" "This employee of yours isn't doing his darn job. Fire this man." In my mind, I was like, "Really, lady? Or is she really serious about this?" Somewhere along those lines. Now, the owner/manager is pretty calm and patient, but also has a way of dealing with entitled people. "Get me the manager. Here's my ID." Shove the ID in my face. "I'll have you all know that I'm the owner's wife and I'll get you all fired." She shoved that ID in my face and turned it to the owner/manager. Now, here's something I know that Karen didn't know. The owner is actually a widower. His wife died over a decade ago, but that's a different topic. He knew that what she was saying was utter BS, and me and the owner/manager got tired. Owner/manager smiled and said, "Well, happy to meet you, Karen. I'm the owner and manager of the store." Now, he smiled, but the smile was so sadistic-like. He has a scary smile. One that might scare cats and dogs. It was like he was a predator, T-Rex or something. Karen went white. I think she just went from full entitlement to full-on "I just pissed on my pants" scared when she realized that she was talking to the owner. Owner says, "Now ma'am, I understand that you're upset with this man, but he's not a part of our staff. He's just someone who comes here and learns from us since he's here to learn what we do." The Karen stammers, I didn't know. "Furthermore, you claim to be a wife of mine, but my real wife died over 10 years ago." Karen's jaw dropped. She now realized that she freaked up and tries to apologize, but the owner/manager has grown tired of these Karens and decided to take drastic measures. Since you're not happy with me or this shop, then I would like you to leave this store and never come back. Ever." Music to my ears. I handed back her keyboard and stormed off. Owner picked up a phone and called a few numbers. I couldn't hear the whole conversation, but I heard the words ban and Karen. The next day, I was on my way to the shop, only to find that Karen from yesterday was actually banned and tried to force herself back, only to get grabbed by an employee staff and dragged her out of the store. Do you guys think this situation is a situation where you just kind of dip, you just kind of walk out of the shop or something? Anything you can do to just disengage the conversation? Let me know in the comments down below. Our next story is by Kiki V612. I was the I don't work here lady and I feel like an idiot. Yesterday I ordered breakfast for takeout. When I pulled into the curbside spot, there was a sign that said to call and someone would bring my order out. Since I was in a hurry, I thought this would be convenient, so I called. At the same time, I got a text saying my order was ready. I waited about 5 minutes and no one had come out, so I decided to save the worker a trip and just go and pick it up. Note, I am never ever rude to workers unless they're rude to me first, and in this case, no one was directly rude, but they weren't helpful either. I walked in and went to the takeout counter and waited a few minutes, but no one came. There's another counter before that where the hostess stands and there was a girl in a pair of khakis and a red polo standing behind the counter. That was the restaurant's uniform and she was behind the counter. At that moment, I saw a table with carry-out orders and mine was there. It was already paid for, so I grabbed the bag. At this point, I was frustrated because I waited outside and no one came, and then inside without anyone helping me. As I was leaving, I said to the girl, "You know, it would help if your team was available when customers come to pick up their orders." She looked at me and said, "Ma'am, I don't work here." I immediately felt awful. I apologized profusely and said I mistook her for an employee because she was wearing a similar outfit and behind the counter. She didn't seem amused and just said that she was back there because there was a stool and she wanted to sit down. I laughed and told her she really fooled me. She then moved the stool and said I wasn't the first person to say something to her, but it made her never want to work there because the staff didn't seem to be helping anyone. I still feel awful that I was that person. And this is actually a really great look into the other side, where if you're wearing a similar uniform and you look like you could be working there, people will assume you're working there. In this case, somebody was wearing what seemed to be exactly the uniform. I don't know if they had any logos on their shirts or if you're supposed to notice a lack of a name tag or anything like that, but behind the counter, outfit that looks very, very close to a uniform. You see how easy it is to make that mistake. At least OP wasn't a Karen. Our next story is by Parish Blue 3. Be nicer to essential workers and the people you mistake for essential workers. At the grocery store with my mom, there's a station with a spray bottle and wipes so you can sanitize the cart handles before use. I'm cleaning my cart, and right as I finish, some middle-aged lady who was exiting the store shoves her empty cart in my direction, saying, "Here," and bustles off without missing a beat. I stop the cart with my foot before it rolls into me and give my mom a "what the freak" look as we walk into the store. It was an odd reminder to appreciate and be respectful to service workers because they deal with crappy ladies shoving carts at them all day. I'm definitely a person that when dealing with strangers, I'm naturally just polite and willing to do the little things to make an experience pleasant. You know, waiting to hand off a cart to a worker or something like that if I think they're a worker. In this event, this person just sucks. They're just a trash human being. It's harsh, but I feel like that's the only way you can describe it. This next story is by Aunt Mex. Sir, the employees aren't wearing AirPods. This happened back in 2019 in my freshman year, junior now, and I had just gotten out of school. My mom took my siblings and I to another city an hour away from where we live, where they had all these stores. I thought, cool, I can finally get new clothes. We get there, and the first store we go to is an American Eagle outlet store. And as soon as I walk in, I see a man staring at me. Note, I am a guy myself. I pay no attention, and I go to the back of the store where all the clearance prices are with my mom. And from there, I go look to find some new hoodies I might like. The entire time, the guy kept looking at me, and when I went to go show my mom the hoodie, she didn't like it and went to go put it back. Well, on my way back, the guy stopped me and asked me in Spanish, How much does this cost? I told him I don't work there and he just said, but you're wearing an American Eagle shirt and have AirPods in like anybody else. I look around, and while every employee is wearing American Eagle clothing, none of them have AirPods. Instead, they have earpieces that I guess they communicate with or something. I tell him again that I don't work there and that no actual employee has AirPods in. He looks around and sees that I'm right and says, "Oh, okay, I see now. I apologize for that." He left, and I got me a new hoodie that I soon had to get rid of. I just want to know what secret CIA operation is going down in this American Eagle store. Why would all of the employees be wearing earpieces? This next story is by Rockabilly. US Army officers mistaken for bellboy. We had an officer's ball. I was a captain in dress blues. Me and my boy were standing near the coat check room at the apocryphal fancy hotel. There was a fraternity party at the same hotel. Some of the frat boys with their lovely dates walked up to us and handed us their coats. I looked at my boy and I said, "Sure." We took their coats, hung them up in the check room, and handed them the marker. Don't know if they ever figured it out. This is the kind of situation where you really hope that in retrospect they realize what happened here. Maybe when they're laying in bed and realize, wait, that's not the uniform the employees would wear. It's more of a funny dream than anything. Our next story is by the Von Solo. Sold a printer at a place I didn't work at. Okay, so years and years ago, holy heck, I just realized this was in 2001, that's 20 years ago. Yikes. My band was just coming back from the memorial service for our bassist's mom. He had a family dinner to go to after it, but we had to go back to the studio. So we were all in suits and had to stop at a certain computer store. We were buying CDRs, remember them? To put our new LP on. So I asked to borrow the store phone to call the studio to ask how many they needed us to get. While I'm on the phone, some guy comes up and asks which printer is the best. I realize I'm wearing a shirt and tie on the store phone and holding a pen and paper like I'm taking inventory. So I show him a better one than the one he was looking at. A store employee comes over and I look at his name tag and go, "I got this, Jeff." Guy winds up buying a printer scanner combo, and when he's cashing out goes, "That kid over there helped me." Then there was mass confusion as to who to give the credit to for the sale. I wonder who wound up getting credit for it. Probably should have got a job there as I quit the band a few months later. I bet Jeff, the despicable person, went and got credit for it. In reality, it's pretty funny that you out-jobbed the people who actually worked there. And considering I myself am still all about the old 5th and 6th gen gaming consoles, I know plenty about CDRs. If you know, you know. And our final story of the day is by Marvy Meyer 85. I don't want your money. Thought you guys might get a kick out of this. When I was younger, back in the early 2000s, I went to a welding program on the other side of my city. I had to take a bus, 2 trains, and another bus to get there. My clothes were pretty tattered, and after class, I was usually pretty dirty. One day, I was sitting there waiting for the second train on my way home, and I saw this random businessman staring at me. I should also note that I had a mohawk at this time, but I wouldn't spike it on days I went to weld, so I was used to people staring at me. He kept staring until I looked him dead in the eyes. The random businessman went, "No!" I said, "Excuse me?" He goes, "I will not give you any money." I say, "Did I freaking ask you for money?" "No, but you look homeless." "Freak you, I'm not freaking homeless. I'm just on my way home. I don't need your freaking money." The look of shock and shame he gave me was priceless. He quickly looked down and shuffled away. I don't know if the guy had some bad experiences or what, but that's a pretty disgusting thing to assume regardless of whoever it is, whatever they look like. I do hope that they were deeply shameful over this experience. But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. So if you have a favorite story of the day, let me know which story and why in the comments down below. But besides that, if you enjoyed the video, please consider giving it a like. And if you haven't, subscribe and turn notifications on so you'll never miss an upcoming video. No matter what you do, whether it's just viewing the video, liking, subscribing, turning notifications on, I appreciate the heck out of it. Every little thing that you do helps the channel grow that much more, and I can't thank you enough for it. So, until next time, I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll be right here next time on the Storytime channel.